Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and we had NBA preseason basketball last night, which feels like a really weird thing to say because it feels like only like 10 weeks ago we had the NBA Finals, because that was pretty much the case. But still, in today's video, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I asked you guys on Twitter last night what some of your own preseason overreactions were from the first night of NBA preseason. We're going to go through some of them today and talk about just whether or not they're real or not. I don't know. We're just going to have some fun with it. It's just good to have basketball back. We're going to talk about some of the quote-unquote storylines from night one of the preseason. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every day, all throughout the NBA offseason, so it is a great place for consistent NBA content. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well. Helps me out a ton. Lets me know that you're enjoying this particular piece of content so I can make more like them, and helps it get the video out to more people on YouTube as well. And you can hang out with me at various socials at the bottom of the screen and in a link tree down in the description below. But with all those things said, let's talk about the one that was sent to me the most over on Twitter from last night's preseason games, and it's the Houston Rockets, most specifically John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins looking really, really good for Houston. There's a couple of layers to this. One, it's just nice to have these guys healthy back on the court. Obviously, that connection would be really, really cool if they were completely in their primes. It's unlikely that was going to happen because of all the injuries that Cousins has suffered. Wall coming back from the Achilles injury, hasn't played in like 2.5 years. But still, it's fun to have both those guys on the court, and they looked really good. They looked healthy. They looked relatively explosive in Wall's case, and it's obviously a really interesting scenario given everything else that's going on in Houston to this point with the James Harden stuff. And maybe this is all the Rockets need. All they need is John Wall, Cousins, and then they need pieces in exchange for James Harden, and they're going to be like a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. I'm not really sure if that's going to be the case, but still, it's interesting to see those guys be playing so well. If Harden decides to come back and play, maybe they can still be a really good team this year. Maybe this not this particular game, but like if they look good in the preseason and Harden sees some things in practice that he likes, maybe he decides to stay and they go forward from there. Or like I said, if they get pieces in exchange for Harden that are significant for this year, maybe this team can still be good. Now, it's still two guys that have had a lot of injury issues. I wouldn't get too excited, which is why we call them overreactions. But still, it's an interesting one to take a look at. Next up, though, another one that got sent to me a lot. When you're looking for a debut of a highly priced free agent, the debut that Jeremy Grant had last night is pretty much the opposite of what you would want. They paid this guy $20 million a year. He comes out first preseason game, 1 for 11 from the field. A guy that got offered the same money from Denver, but wanted to go to Detroit because he felt like he would have a bigger offensive role, more offensive responsibility, which is something that he wanted for his career. And he's correct. He's going to have more of an offensive role in Detroit than he would have had in Denver. But 1 for 11 from the field is literally the opposite of what you would want. And I've been here as a fan, whether it's preseason or the first game of the season, and you sign a big free agent, or at least you pay someone a lot of money, and you're excited, you're like, man, I can't wait to see this guy play. He's going to be awesome. And like immediately you realize, okay, this might have been a mistake. I'm not saying that's the case with Jeremy Grant. Again, that's why it's called an overreaction, but still, it's probably not a good feeling waking up this morning as a Pistons fan. Not only did Grant not look good, Blake Griffin didn't look great. Some of the younger guys looked One of those teams that on night one of the preseasons kind of looked at themselves like, this could be a rough one. Another team that's thinking that this morning is the Chicago Bulls. There were certainly some bright spots. Patrick Williams had some good moments, but as a team, things didn't look great for Chicago last night. And this is a team that I have relatively high hopes for. I don't have them in the playoffs in the East this year, but I have them close enough to contend for one of those play-in spots. And in an Eastern Conference that the 8th seed is actually way more competitive than people realize. The Bulls, hopefully, are going to be much better than what they showed last night. I thought that getting rid of Jim Boylan and switching him out for Billy Donovan would be a huge positive for this group, and it definitely will be. I'm fully confident of that. But in first game of the preseason, it's not a great sign for them to come out and play the way that they did. So if there's two teams that are like panicking about their team this morning and thinking, you know what, maybe things aren't going to go great, Chicago and Detroit are near the top of the list. And there's another one later on in this video that we could talk about as well. But I think the one that is the biggest one for me of the entire night, again, an overreaction, quote unquote, but this is more of just like what I saw. Obi Toppin looked good, man. Like I had him listed as one of those guys that could contend for the Rookie of the Year this season, because I think one of my bold predictions was that I think the Rookie of the Year is going to be outside of the top 5 of the draft. Someone like Killian Hayes, Tyrese Halliburton, or Obi Toppin, because those guys have good opportunities to put up stats. And it's very limited action, right? It's not like we just saw Obi Toppin play 10 games and look really good in all of them. But it wasn't just like he was, getting drop-offs and dunking the ball at the rim. There was some post moves. There was a really nice baseline drive, kick out to Kevin Knox in the corner. Then he relocated on the baseline, caught it, dunked the ball. There's just a lot of professional-looking things out of Obi Toppin other than just dunking the ball. And if I was a Knicks fan, I would be really excited, even after just one night of preseason play. He's definitely going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year if he continues to look the way that he did last night. And that's a very, very exciting thing if you're a Knicks fan, to add that to Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett. Then you've got maybe some other guys that could take a step forward this year, guys like Kevin Knox, guys like Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina possibly, and start to build a little bit of something there in New York from those younger guys as they look towards some big free agency summers here coming up. So that would be an exciting one for me. And I think the most notable takeaway for the night last night was that Obi Toppin looked like a professional basketball player. I know that sounds like a weird statement, but he looked really, really good. We have two more here now, and it's a positive one and a negative one. I don't really know which one I want to go with here. We'll go positive, and then we'll end the video on a negative one. Another team that's kind of not like panicking, but didn't look great. The Portland Trailblazers, and specifically Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench, looks really, really good. And this Blazers team can contend for a top 4, top 5 seed in the West seed this upcoming season, just based off of their roster, because it's not so top heavy like it's been in the past. It's not just Dame, it's not just CJ, it's not just Yusuf Nurkic. They've got guys in the wing like Robert Covington, they've got players on the front court like Derrick Jones Jr. and Harry Giles, they've got Carmelo coming off the bench. There's legitimate depth here in Portland, which they haven't had in a really long time, if I'm honest. So it's really good to see them put together a roster that fits well around Melo, fits well around Dame, fits well around CJ, and hopefully they can put some things together this season. And last night was a very, very positive sign. They're either going to be fully healthy and contend for a top 5 seed, or they're going to have some injury issues and be back towards that 8th seed number again. But they are definitely a team to pay attention to in the West this season. They're not just the plucky Trailblazers where Dame's going to have to shoot them out of every single game. Like, he's going to be able to do some other things this year other than just try and score every time down the floor, because they have some other pieces around him, which is a very refreshing thing there in Portland. Last up now, another team that doesn't feel great about themselves this morning is the LA Clippers. Now, to be fair, Paul George and Kawhi didn't look great, but they also really didn't play. And the Lakers didn't play LeBron or AD, and the Lakers still won the game. Not that we're really worried about the end result of a preseason game. But still, it's just... The Clippers need some good mojo. They need some good stuff to happen to them, because they went from the 3-1 collapse to Doc leaving to Paul George saying all these things publicly about how they didn't make any adjustments and they didn't think that, the coaching staff did what they needed to do last offseason or last postseason. Now Doc Rivers is saying stuff back publicly. Like, the Clippers need some good momentum. They need some good mojo. They need some good stuff going for them. And it would have been nice for them to look better in their first preseason game. Now, to be fair, I'm not really going to glean much from a preseason game in which Kabengele and Terrence Mann played like 22 minutes, and everybody else that would start in the Clippers this year played like 12, and Kyle Kuzma played 38 and shot like 16 times. Like, I'm not going to glean much from that. And that's, again, why they're called overreactions. We're just kind of having fun with some of these storylines this morning. But it just would have been really nice if the Clippers had come out, looked like a professional team, and just pummeled the Lakers on night one. That would have been really, really refreshing. Didn't happen that way, but still, it would have been nice if that was the case. So those are my... I don't even want to say like biggest overreactions, but these are the ones that were sent to me the most. These are the most notable, quote unquote, overreactions from night one of the preseason. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below in terms of what other overreactions you think there could have been from last night. If you guys want me to do more of these moving forward as we get more throughout the preseason, I'm not going to do it for every single night, but if there's a lot of notable stuff that happens in a particular night, maybe I'll do more of these. I just thought for night one, it would be really, really fun. Again, those overreactions are John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are all the Rockets need. That's it's a funny thing to say, but hey, maybe that's all they need. They need those two guys and Harden to show up or Harden to get traded, and they're good. Jeremy Grant, 1 for 11, not great. Obi Toppin, Rookie of the Year, maybe. The Bulls might not be great. The Clippers might not be great. And the Portland Trailblazers actually look like they have some legitimate depth for the first time in a long time, which is huge for Dame and TJ McCollum. But yeah, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. Thank you guys so much for all the support on all the videos lately. I know I've been throwing a lot at you guys with content on this platform as well as all these other platforms. I've been trying my best to just grow the channel, do as much as I can to make sure that everything is always moving forward in a positive direction, and the support that you guys provide me on these videos and on other platforms gives me not only the motivation to continue to do that, but also that support, directly impacts the growth of this channel and other platforms as well, and I really do appreciate that. But like I said, that's going to be the end of today's video. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on the screen. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.